What we believe is that you need to be 100%, the other person need to be 100%, and together you build a new 100%. This thing that it's 50-50 is something that I do not believe.
I just needed to connect with the thing that I like to do and understand that there will be people eventually that will appreciate this thing that I have to show.
Over time, if you're not careful and if you don't build a trustworthy relationship where both opinions are taken as constructive feedback, the person who is less vocal tends to tear themselves down internally.
We often have someone that in a given situation holds more power than the other one.
But this is the issue with social media nowadays, right? We take self-worth and self-value based on what's out there instead of looking inside.
I think it's so autopilot that it requires a strong self-work to get out of it. So it's finding that place where you are not dependent, where you know the things that you already have, the things that you can already bring to the table.
We're human and we're not going to be okay in every situation. But the better we build ourselves as a person, the better we can deal with things within the dance community. How much of your self-worth as a dancer do you give away to your partners? Are you letting someone else's criticism erase all the progress you've worked so hard to achieve? And how can you reclaim your power and stay grounded regardless of the feedback you receive? Well, let's find out. Hello everyone, and welcome back to ZoukNerds. In this episode, we'll tackle how we let others influence our self-value. We'll talk about the psychological traps of seeking external approval, how to handle power imbalances in partnerships, and why true mastery starts with your mindset outside of the studio. Discover with us how to rewrite your internal narrative and find authentic happiness in your dance. So, let's go! Hello everyone, and welcome back. My name is Alisson Sanji, and let's welcome back our beautiful co-host, Gui Prada. Hello, Gui.
Hello, Alisson. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Good episode today.
That's right, everybody. We're excited for another episode, and this one is gonna be a little heavy. So be prepared emotionally for this, because we're going to be talking about how sometimes, unfortunately, we allow other people to rate or value our dance more than what we should be doing. It's something that I've been through in my dance journey, and I've seen so many people gone through this in my dance journey. And recently I was having a conversation with a student, and they didn't disclose anything to me initially. But as the conversation went on, we got to identify and name what needed to be named, which was the fact that by practicing and training with other people, that dancer was losing the sense of how good their dance was. They were disconnecting from all the things that they have achieved just simply because somebody was criticizing them or telling them things, and they weren't equipped to deal with it and to receive it and to still hold themselves up and go like, okay, I hear your feedback, I understand it, I'm going to apply it, but I still hold myself to a value that I know that I have worked for. How many times we've heard about this in the community? I don't even know, but I think it's something that we need to talk about. And hopefully with this episode, you listening will either identify yourself and build stronger pillars to hold yourself, or you might actually recognize why a friend or somebody in the community may be feeling a little off. And hopefully you can go out there, have a conversation, and help this friend. What do you think about that, Gui? How have you experienced, seen, or dealt with it?
I have seen, I have talked with people about it. And it is I see it more commonly in people who have partnerships or people who have experienced training for a long period of time with the same person, not necessarily a professional partnership, but somebody who has been training with somebody else for a long time, or situations in which one taught the other for some times, in which the training started with one was more skilled than the other and then was showing the dance to this other person. And what that did was creating a relationship in which the person who was learning, the person who was in the beginning at a lower level of experience with the dance, creating a dynamic of needing, without realizing at first, needing a constant approval, a constant recognition of that person that they were training with, or from the person that they were partnering with to work. So because I haven't experienced that myself, in the sense that I haven't been training with the same person consistently for an extended period of time or had a consistent dance partnership, I haven't experienced that in the same way. What I have experienced is with the public or with organizers. I remember one of the first experiences that I had with organizers, internationally speaking, was one of my very first invitations to teach abroad. I got a message on Messenger, and the person was saying that they heard about me and that they would love to bring me to their city, and asked me to send a couple of videos for him to show to the team. And after a couple of days, I don't remember right now how long it took, I checked in with them and I asked, hey, what do you think? And then the person said, oh, maybe another time. Maybe let's bring you another time. And I asked why. And then what the person told me was the team watched my videos dancing, and there was a lacking of wow moments in the dance. And because of that, they didn't think they would have enough people for the classes and they wouldn't be able to pay for the whole thing. And then I remember how that immediately affected me, and then I felt this huge desire to tell and show them, no, I can't do these wall moments. I have these wall moments. I just don't normally do them, but I can't do them. Just not very common. I just felt this thing. But luckily, I have very good friends and I called them. And after the conversation, I realized that I didn't need to, to prove myself necessarily to that person. I just needed to connect with the thing that I like to do and understand that there will be people eventually that will appreciate this thing that I have to show. I think I was very lucky to have that right away, have the conversation right away. This was 2017, 18, literally my first months teaching. And I got that conversation already. So that has been my first experience in the sense of requiring or wanting someone else's approval to think that I'm worth it, to think that I know enough. And then after that, it was mostly on that end of things, mostly the people who will hire me, people who will want me to teach them, like to prove to them that I am able, that I'm capable. So I haven't experienced that yet in partnerships, but I have seen and heard about that so many times. And Alison, you have been in a longer term dance partnership, right? And other forms of dance partnership. So your experience with that might be, it is different than mine, right?
Yes, absolutely. But I must say, I have been very lucky to have beautiful dance partners that did not do that to me. On that side, I'm very lucky. But in terms of working with people, whether it's schools, organizers, and promoters, that has happened as well. But I first want to focus on the student, on the dancer perspective, because I think that's where it mostly happens in a silent way in the community. Unfortunately. And this may happen because of one thing that somebody said, or multiple things that multiple people said, or just because that person has heard multiple feedbacks from a training partner and then they start thinking down on themselves. What we're talking about here, let's put a picture. Let's paint a scenario. Let's say you are a follower who's been dancing for a bit, and you're a leader who's been dancing for a bit, and both of you decide to start practicing together. And scenario one, the follower has more confidence to speak up. Let's imagine both of them have the same level, but the follower has more confidence to speak up and say what they feel, and the leader has less. Over time, if you're not careful and if you don't build a trustworthy relationship where both opinions are taken as constructive feedback, the person who is less vocal tends to tear themselves down internally. They may not be showing that to the partner who is helping them, and maybe they are very thankful and saying, "Oh my God, thank you so much for sharing. I really like that you criticize me. I really like that you say those things to me." But internally, they're tearing themselves down because they think they're not good enough for this or for that, for this or for that. And then you can also see that from the other side, where leaders are trying to do things and the followers are there training with that leader. And as the leader, they're trying to lead this or trying to lead that, and they're just telling the follower, "Oh, you need to do this. Oh, you need to do that. You need to do this. It didn't work because you did this. It didn't work because you didn't do that." And then the follower is just going in this downward spiral of, what should I do? Should I breathe? Should I open my eyes, close my eyes? Should I step? Should I think? Should I not think? And then it goes down. So that's what we're talking about. When the feedback may come from a good place. It may come from a good place. But maybe the relationship or the delivery may not have reached a level that the other person can feel like it's helping them. Or maybe the person does feel like, you know what, this is helpful, thank you very much. But they are not equipped enough with the right tools to see it and to read that feedback and stay positive. This is the hardest thing. And I've been through this in work relationships where I was being torn down so much on a daily basis that I started questioning everything that I did. I just wouldn't even think without thinking, what will the other person think about this? I wasn't able to take steps because everything that I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to do this, but I would immediately interrupt myself and tell myself, oh no, this is not good enough for that person, right? And in social dancing, this is so tricky because we are training to dance with as many people as possible. So how could one person affect your experience so much? Well, it's possible. We see it all the time. So I think from this part of the episode on, we can start focusing more on how to build yourself and how to build that strength to make sure that whether you're being criticized by somebody who has the most amazing intentions towards you or not, you will still be safe and you will still feel powerful about yourself. For me, it was a journey of a lot of therapy and reading lots of books and understanding that I was doing that because of my upbringing. Like I was doing that to myself because of experiences that I've had in the past. So then once I understood that, I was able to build a little bit more strength and thick skin to understand what should and should not affect me. But if I can say something about this to help in a summary, is to really try to look inwards and to understand what you have achieved so far. Everything that you have worked for. And all of that is in your body. And there's nobody that can delete that from my body, from my experience. Basically, no matter what anybody says, what I have experienced, what I have learned is in me. My job is to make sure that I'm always connected to that instead of disconnecting with everything that I have and connecting my worth and my value to whatever that other person says. So I think that's like a big way that I try to ground myself whenever I hear anything. Social media and all those things, they're quite tough. So when I see something on social media that affects me, I go like, no, I am happy because I have achieved this, I have achieved that, I have achieved this. And I'm proud of myself because of those things. I may not be that thing or that thing for whatever reason, but I understand where I am now, and where I am now is a choice. Am I traveling the world, teaching every week in a different city? No, but I could feel bad about it. Am I in every festival's poster right now? No. And I'm happy about it because it's a choice that I have made to change my life to focus on different things. And I think that's the way that I've helped other students, trying to help them open their eyes for all the beautiful things that they are focusing on and that they are achieving, and hold on to that whenever they feel a little shaken. How does that resonate with you, Gui? How do you deal with this in life or when you're trying to help somebody else?
Well, how much time do we have? Okay, 20 minutes. I'll try to be quick. Man, this is the biggest thing for me right now in life. For example, there are a couple of things I want to say. I'll try to keep them in order. I will start with the last thing, with the second thing, which is answering your question, Alison. And I will answer it with something very personal that has been happening to me recently and relates to what is the story that we are telling ourselves about something that is happening or that happens. Like Alison said, he's right now not traveling the world, not in all the posters of all the festivals, and feeling happy about that because that was the choice that he made. What is the story, Alison? That you made the choice to be home, build a family, build a community, stay put, and that not being in the posters doesn't mean that he's not relevant, because the story could be, I'm not relevant anymore. People don't want me anymore. That could be the story, you know? And for me, for example, I'm 36 years old, and there is a story in my head that I am rewriting, in the process of rewriting, because when I was a young boy, a young Padawan, and I would see a 36-year-old man, I'm like, wow, you are old, you know? And normally a 36-year-old man, when I was a boy, was this very responsible adult, you know, with a car and a house and kids, and been working and having all these adult conversations and use polo shirts and tucking their shirts in the pants. Very adult looking, you know, kind of like view of what a 36-year-old man looks like. And then I look at myself and I'm a 36-year-old man who sleeps on a couch bed, you know, that lives with a lady in DC that I found on Zillow, but it's super nice. Nothing in the house is mine except for my clothes and the computer. So the story that immediately came to me was, oh my God, I'm failing in life. You know, like I am not this thing that I thought a 36-year-old man is supposed to be like. So that story started forming in my head. But then I realized, but wait, look at all these other things that I have achieved at 36. All these things that I've done, things that I've seen, that I've eaten, places that I have visited, or how much I have acquired in knowledge, in theoretical knowledge and empirical knowledge in all of these things, you know. So this story that I am not the adult I think I should be started to take shape, and I started to get frustrated and anxious about it. And rewriting the story or bringing a new meaning to what is to be a 36-year-old man, it can be another one, you know. And this happens with us I'm sharing a very personal thing about my life and what has been the most current thing for me right now. I am in the process of rewriting the story and a lot less anxious. But as a dancer, we take it out of the big context of life and put it in the context of this activity that I do, this thing that I do to bring me joy, to meet so many of my needs. I think stories about this can become much more powerful because we are dealing also with very essential human needs as recognition, approval from the clan, a need for expression, a need for connection. And we often have power imbalances. That's the second thing I wanted to mention there, Alison, when you said to feel powerful. And that's, I think, a very important aspect in our field right now, the matter of feeling powerful. And I think that's related to the matter of feeling confident as well. And that confidence giving you power in the sense of giving you the understanding of what you can offer, and that being enough, that being good. In our Brazilian Zouk world, and I think any partner dance world, to be fair, or any art world, we often have someone that in a given situation holds more power than the other one. And that power comes in different forms. For example, the person who is more skilled, or the person who is more famous, or the person who has been in the scene for a longer time. So when I go dance in the social with a follower that I understand to be at a higher level of skill than I am, without wanting to do that, without realizing, I give this person the power. Like, here it is. Here is the power to decide whether or not I am a good dancer. And I am going to see that through your body language, if you're smiling or not, if you're looking at me or not. So I'm going to be constantly looking for signs of approval from that person that I consider to be the most powerful and the one that holds more powerful subconsciously, to see whether or not I am worthy. I am worthy as a dancer in general. Flip that. I'm dancing with my students, my Basics 1, Basics 2 students. I am the one who is holding more power, and they are putting the power in me for their approval. So when I say to them, wow, that was very good, they say, oh my God, really? I think that I was messing up on this thing. I'm like, no, it was really nice. And then they leave the dance floating, because for them, my approval as their superior, in the sense of like hierarchical superiority in skill level or position in the scene, put me in a position of power. And they, without wanting to do that, put their worth in my hands, And when we have partnerships or trainingships, we also have that happening. Someone is holding that power, And Esther Perel, if you guys don't know Esther Perel, look it up, Esther Perel. She says something really, really interesting about that. She says that it's very natural in any relationship to have imbalance of power. And that power keeps shifting back and forth depending on circumstance, depending on the time, depending how long the relationship has been happening. And the thing is, what do you do with that power? How do you go about that power? The problem is not having the power. The problem is what you do with it. And in partnerships, it's very common that power imbalance leads the one with less power to be constantly seeking the approval of the one with more and seeking for that signs of approval. And the more that the other partner tells them that something is not good, that they're doing this wrong, that this is not working, it just confirms how bad they are, how not worthy they are. Like Alison was saying, am I blinking right? Am I breathing correctly? And then I have seen this happening. And then sometimes the partner who is seeking that approval is sometimes in a constant state of anxiety or insecurity, because even though the other partner gives them some form of recognition, it's almost like they are expecting the moment in which it will flip back to not receiving that recognition anymore. So there is a constant state of insecurity about that approval, that recognition, until the moment in which the person finds that power within their confidence and can, I wouldn't say like necessarily only assert themselves, that too. And the feeling, I think this is more internal, like the feeling that they have it, that they got it, So when they talk to their partner, it comes from that place but I also understand about this dance. I also know what I'm talking about. I've also been training this for some time. Maybe we can find a place that we are both, enjoying the situation, because if it's just one adapting to the other the whole time, it often doesn't work. And I have seen this happening many times in partnerships, professionally speaking, in partnerships, locally speaking, and in training partnerships as well. People are not working together, they're just training. And this happens, which I think is what happened, right, Alison, on your end. It's not a professional. It's someone who is dancing because it enjoys dancing and wants to get better. You know what I mean? And that's the other thing I think that has an impact. I don't know what you think about this, Alison, but this idea of getting better, of being better in the dance, being a good dancer, what does that mean? And perhaps that has an impact when people train, like when the people train with the person that they consider to be the better dancer and wanting to get to that level. So establishing what is better, what is the better thing? And that also having an impact in how they see themselves and how they see the dance and everything else. So, yeah, this is something that I wonder what you think, Alison, about the idea of getting better and how that might affect people in this relationship.
The first thing that I want to talk about before I answer to your question is how the interaction between people can happen. My suggestion for anybody out there who has a practice partner or knows that somebody is in this situation, go out there and tell them that what I suggest is for them to focus on what they're feeling, not what the other person is doing right or wrong. For example, when I train with Guy, when I train with Christina, when I train with anybody, all the time, the only feedback that we give or request is, how does that feel for you? And what do you want to feel more? So, for example, if Guy tells me, oh, this is not working, I want to feel more of this, instead of, this is not working, you should be doing this, right? Same thing with Christine and I. We'll tell each other, oh, this is what I would like to create. This is what I would like to feel. This is the direction that I would like to go. What do you feel that needs to be changed for us to do that? Or if Christina or I want to, or feel that, oh, I need to correct the other person, we reframe that. Instead of trying to correct the other person, we're trying to give them the direction that we want to go. So instead of telling your partner or the other person, hey, you should enter that door, I will tell the other person, I would like to go to that door. Do you want to come with me? Are you okay going to that door? So this is kind of something that I really, really love to use in my personal life and in my dance partnerships and work. To be open and honest in a way that I am expressing how I feel and what I want, instead of telling the other person that they are not doing what they should be doing, in my perspective, or that they are not meeting my needs. So that's the first thing. And to answer to your question, Guy, what is a good dancer, right? Guys, if you want, you can spend $1 million of private lessons and you can ask hundreds of teachers, and you're still not going to get a good answer, right? Because in the end of the day, to me, what is a good dancer really is something that you need to ask yourself based on the things that you know and the experiences that you've had. A good dancer for me, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and today, they're all different people. I'll be very honest. Like today, if you ask me what is a good dancer, I will tell you. It's a person that can social dance and enjoy every moment of every social dance with anybody. That's a good dancer.
Yeah. This reminded me of something immediately when you said that. In the context of what we are saying, right? Like you have this person you're training with and you consider that person to be better than you. So you have that idea that that person is the good dancer and you want to get to that level, you know? And I remember one of the people that I talked to, they were training together. And the person who was the one with more experience, that was exactly their characteristic. They were an incredible social dancer, danced with everybody really well. The main point for that person, it was that, how can I be like them? How can I enjoy every dance like them? I don't enjoy every dance like them, so I'm not a good dancer. So they were comparing to the other person. They were like, I'm not good and I'm never going to be as good as they are because I don't enjoy this like they do. That reminded me, because the thing that you said, I think it was actually very good, because it reminded me of an example that was exactly that situation.
Yeah, like I said, the good dancer, the best dancer may change depending on what I value at that moment. So if I'm looking at somebody who can do all of these complex, musical, crazy things, and I think that's a good dancer, everybody else who doesn't do that, I'm going to think they're a bad dancer. And if I see videos of myself not doing that, I'm going to think I'm a bad dancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very based on what we believe by what we're exposed. But this is the issue with social media nowadays, right? We take self-worth and self-value based on what's out there and what's popping, what's on fire, what everybody's liking and sharing, instead of looking inside and thinking, when were the moments that I felt like a great dancer? What was I experiencing in that dance? What kind of movement, what kind of touch, what kind of music was playing? And paying attention to what naturally happens. We're all humans. We are not going to be a carbon copy of somebody else. So I need to look at my own dance and think, okay, when I do this and this and this and this, I feel the most alive. I feel the most happy. But then I go and I watch a video of Gui dancing with somebody, and I can see all the things that I don't have. I can have a choice right there to forget everything that I know I have and just focus on the things that I don't have but Gui has. Or I can go like, wow, Gui's such an inspiration. I would love to learn those skills and add that to the skills that I already have and that I love. A lot of the times, this is not something that is spoken about. Nobody knows that it happens in dance. And guys, I would question if there's anybody out there in the community that doesn't actually look into themselves and sometimes wish that they could do something else, have another set of skills. We all do that. But we have to do a lot of this work outside of dancing. That's the bottom line, really. Every time you put more money into dancing, more money into traveling, more money or time into training harder, but you don't work on yourself, the person outside of dancing, completely disconnected with dancing, I don't think you're going to get there. Honestly, I've seen time and time again, I have done this to myself many times in the past where I just thought, I need to train harder. I need to learn more. I need to travel more. I need to be seen more. I need to do better shows. I need to do crazier movements and lifts, and I need to spend more time in my costume. But all of those things were just not things that I was happy with or that would make me happy. It was just things that I was doing so other people would validate my worth or would give me some worth. And then I would feel like, oh my God, this person said that my costume is amazing. And then I think, oh my God, spending all of that money was worth it. Nah, I highly recommend everybody who is going through any issue to make sure that you don't try to fix that within the dance. If you fix that outside of the dance, I believe that for the majority of things that may affect you within the dance, you'll be stronger to deal with and you'll be more grounded and have stronger pillars to hold yourself instead of to let yourself break down. So the stronger we are outside of dance, I think the better we can do with everything within dance.
I think we just go along replicating long-lasting behavior of doing things right. Am I doing this right? Is this correct? With our parents, where everything we wanted to do, it was to please them and to hear them tell us, you're doing this right. So in dance partnerships, whatever nature it is, I think we replicate this behavior, and there is someone that we want to make things right for, or there's someone that we want to tell us, oh, this is right, this is good, and when we have a continuous situation where we are continuously seeking that approval, we're continuously wanting to hear and see that confirmation of how good we are, it gets harder and harder to get out of it. The longer that persists, the harder it is to get out of it. And I say this from like a personal perspective, nothing to do with dance, and also by observing other people who go through situations like this in dance partnerships, where even after they don't dance anymore or they don't train together anymore, there is still this thing going on of like, I want to be doing things right for that person in order to get that approval, And
it's kind of like, what would that person say?
Exactly. What would that person say?
Would they approve this? Would they like this? Would they think this is good for me? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Man, I think this is so autopilot that it requires us to strong self-work to get out of it. Everything is with balance, I think is good, So there is this idea, for example, if you have a master and somebody that you look up to, and let's say that this master is the person that you're training, whether the person you are partnering with, I think it's very natural that we seek for some sort of validation, recognition from that master because we admire them and we consider that they have something to offer that we want to get. Like Alison was saying, the matter of inspiration. They inspire us and we want to attain that knowledge, And I think that's natural. I think that's totally fine and healthy. The invitation that I make for myself and for everybody is to understand when that starts to become about everything that you do, every movement you make, requiring that, is it good for you? Does this work? In the sense of, I am almost not good enough and I am basically just, anything can throw me to a place of, yes, you are definitely not good enough,
The issue is when you become dependent, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly the point, the dependency. So it's finding that place where you are not dependent, where the things that you already have, the things that you can already bring to the table. And that sometimes can come in the form of some affirmation exercises where you ask yourself or you ask the person, what is it that I bring that you enjoy? What is it that I contribute that you like? Is there anything that I do that I bring that you would like to attain as well? So something that gives you an idea of what is already working, or is it that you are already adding to the relationship, because taking away this feeling that you are not someone who is bringing value and getting to the mindset that you also bring value to the relationship is really important, because even if the person tells you and somebody else tells you, it will take you some time to believe. So you might need a little bit more time with the information, So it's better that you start receiving it at some point. With some students, I take the time to let them know what is it that they are bringing already? What is it that is working already? That wasn't working before, that now is working, so they know what's going on. So that's something that I can think about right now when I am coaching people who are training together, doing this exercise. Tell them what they bring. Now you tell them what they bring. So it exercises that gratitude as well. It exercises the recognition and their acknowledgement of the other and how much it's both creating something together, not just one that creates everything and the other one is just there like as an appendix. You know what I mean? So I think that's really important. And I encourage that for partnerships, professional, or people who are just training together.
And a little reminder here, we've said this time and time again, dance is therapeutical, but dance is not a replacement for therapy. So please, guys, don't feel ashamed. Look for help, whatever that help is, but get help outside of dancing if you're feeling like something is not right in your dancing. And this could also mirror to other parts of your life. Okay, but here we're going to be talking about dancing. The other thing is something that we teach every student that comes in contact with us. Don't do the math, but what we believe is that you need to be 100%, the other person need to be 100%, and together you build a new 100%. This thing that it's 50-50 is something that I do not believe. I think I understand the concept of like, oh, partnership is 50-50. Sure. But I think in dance, partnership needs to be the new 100, but not because two 50-50s came together, more because two 100s came together and fused into another 100. Because when you bring yourself down for the other person, that's not an equal partnership. Even if it's 50-50, I don't think it's a good partnership because you're not exploring your full self. You're not bringing your full self. So make sure that no matter what you do, you train technically to be 100% responsible for your dance. Emotionally, to be 100% responsible for your dance. And the experiences that you have out there, try your best to build yourself in a way that in most cases, you're going to be okay. We're human and we're not going to be okay in every situation. But the better we build ourselves as a person, the better we can deal with things within the dance community. Whether it's your own dancing, whether it's some community thing that is going on, whether it's a competition or a performance, all of those things, they're not solved by training more or learning better technique or paying thousands of dollars for a teacher course. I don't think any of those things are going to solve a situation that needs to be solved inside.
Yeah, and I think the last thing I would say is a reminder what Alison mentioned before in this episode, which is the communication between partners when training and the changing of the focus from what is it that the other person is doing wrong or that is not working to invitations, to what could the person be doing to make this thing here feel more comfortable, feel more clear, or anything like that. I think changing the language and changing how you approach it will also change how you think of it. You know, so when you are training with someone, you change the wording from like, oh, you didn't turn this way. You should have turned this way, you know, to like, oh, I noticed that you turned this way. Is there anything that I can do to make it more clear that we can turn this way? You know, and that really changes the way you think of these things. So I just wanted to bring back this thing that Alison mentioned in this episode that is really, really, really important, because for the person who is holding the power, remember that we said it's not a problem to be the one with the power, it's just what you do with this thing, you know? So if you are the one who has more knowledge of the technique, if you are the one who the person is coming to for inspiration, you having the power of the seniority, let's say, you can use that to bring to the person who is learning from you or is learning with you a completely different experience of growing together. You know, so that perhaps is the most emphatic invitation that I make out of this episode.
And if you're the person with less power or experience, try to reframe the questions however they come. They may come like, oh, you should have turned. Reframe the question and ask, okay, how would you like me to do that? And then they will explain whatever, and they say, okay, so what I need in order to do that is to feel this. So then you can hopefully have a more productive conversation. And to be honest, guys, we're talking about dancing, but I cannot limit this to dancing because I would say that I applied this to my entire life. Okay, anything in my life, relationships, friends, family, I apply this, I just tell them what I need and what I feel. If they ask me, but what you want me to do, I'll tell them what I want to feel, because I don't want to tell them what to do. I've had so many issues that growing up, and I like to avoid that. But yeah, guys, this was a deep one. And hopefully this was one that helped you in some way. And if you'd like to show your support to us, please make sure that you go down there and follow or subscribe or share our podcast to many other people out there in your community and friends. And thank you. Thank you for being here. And we're looking forward to seeing you on the next one. So, beijos, abraços, and ciao.
Bye, everybody.